club, but we're very like-minded people, so the music is good, the live band is great. And artists pass through to jazz up some more. So we have Pride that are going to be climbing the stage just to make us go crazy with non-stop hits. Then we'll have Abiana come and cool it down with her sultry, amazing voice. Then we'll have Akwaaba take it to the next level. Akwaaba will take it to the next level. The jazz. So make it a point to be there by calling 0205-903973. That's 0205-903973. But a happy 40th birthday to Melissa Baba. May this year and the many ahead be glorious. May you continue to experience the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Stay forever blessed from the project management unit of gifts. I'll be back with more goodness right here on Brunch in the City after the Citi Prime News of the day, which is coming on very shortly. And we'll continue our Brunch in the City midday. A very good afternoon to you and welcome to the Citi Prime News live from our studios at number 11 Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka, Accra. The news is also live on all our partner stations across the country and around the world. We are live on citynewsroom.com. My name is Hawa Idrisu and this afternoon I'm here with
Caleb Kuda.
Coming up, government takes stringent steps to safeguard ailing economy in historical debt exchange program while assuring individual bondholders of not losing their principal.
In particular, it does not embed any principal haircut on eligible bonds as we promise. Let me repeat this fact as plainly as I can. In this debt exchange, individuals holding domestic bonds will not lose.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana has expressed confidence in the new debt exchange program announced by the government. Still ahead, police officers deployed to various SIM card re-registration centers in the Ashanti region to avert possible chaos after hundreds of customers had their SIM cards blocked.
I realized I couldn't make calls from the hours of 1 thereabout. I couldn't access to check my call balance. I couldn't check it. I was labeled as a thief when I wanted to make a transaction. They were telling me I'm a fraudster.
And later, youth of Colorado, a deprived community in the Tatale Sanguli district of the northern region, demand educational infrastructure to enable the next generation of indigents become literate. All that and more on Citi Prime News, which is live on all our affiliate stations across the country. Western region, we're live on Premier FM 100.5 in Takoradi, Bono region, Greener FM 95.9 in Sunyani,
Ashanti region, Orange FM 107.9 in Kumasi. Eastern region, we're live on Right FM 90.1 in Somenya. Volta region, Holy FM 98.5 in Aplao. Northern region, Dasuma FM 99.1 in Yendi. Upper East, Word FM 88.3 in Zwarungu. And Upper West, we are live on Bugli Radio 88.6 in Wa.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Grateful for choosing us. Now, government has reiterated its pledge that no individual bondholder will lose their funds in the newly launched debt exchange program. According to the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, Ghanaians must discard any speculation that government will cut their savings as part of the program. Speaking at the launch of the debt exchange program on Monday, Ken Ofori-Atta noted that the program is a key requirement for the country to get a deal with the International Monetary Fund (IMF). Thus, the need for the media to be circumspect in their reportage in order not to create unnecessary panic among investors.
The objective of this program is to alleviate the debt burden in a most transparent, efficient, and expedited manner. In this context, by means of an exchange offer, the government of Ghana has been working hard to minimize the impact of the domestic debt exchange on investors holding government bonds. In particular, it does not embed any principal haircut on eligible bonds as we promise. Let me repeat this fact as plainly as I can. In this debt exchange, individuals holding domestic bonds will not lose, are not affected by the value of their investment will be retained. So let us remove any doubt and discard any speculation that the government is about to cut your retirement savings or the notional value of your investment. This is not the case. As already announced, Treasury bills are completely exempted and all holders will be paid the full value of their investment on maturity. There will be no haircut on the principal of bonds. Individuals who hold bonds would also not be affected at all.
He also assured all financial sector players of government support to minimize the impact of the program on their activities. The minister hinted that the governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, and other heads of regulatory institutions will be tasked to engage stakeholders on the debt management program.
Change program. Our pledge to you all is that government will take all appropriate measures to safeguard the solvency of the financial institutions involved in the exchange. Thanks to well-targeted regulatory measures and the creation of a financial stability fund, banks, pension funds, insurance companies, fund managers, and collective investment schemes will be supported to ensure that they are able to meet the obligations to their clients as they fall due. For this reason, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana will follow suit with details of the necessary assistance in due course. We have also dialogued extensively with regulators across the financial sector, including the Securities and Exchange Commission, National Insurance Commission, and the National Pensions Regulatory Authority to agree that regulatory forbearance will be provided to all entities whose financial position is adversely affected by virtue of participating in this exchange. This debt exchange provides an orderly way to put our economy back on track. These efforts will be complemented by fiscal measures to protect the neediest and most vulnerable in society. The government expects overwhelming support to this exchange, and in truth, the success of this necessary endeavor depends, of course, upon the public's cooperation.
You heard the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Meanwhile, the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, has expressed optimism that the proposed debt exchange program will bring some confidence in the economy as well as enhance the efforts of the central bank in controlling inflation. He noted that the economic challenges which have affected many banks has led to high cost of borrowing and the cost of doing businesses. Speaking at the annual dinner of the Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana, Dr. Addison assured of the central bank's support to the banks to provide them with additional liquidity during the exercise.
In addition, the near-term adoption of the IMF program will provide us with some balance of payment support to help close the wide financing gaps, boost investor confidence, and restore stability. To a large extent, the lingering effects of the pandemic has waned, and implementation of the sound framework amid easing geopolitical tensions should help re-anchor inflation expectations with positive spillovers to the domestic economy. The bank will continue to implement prudent policies as much as practicable to restore price and exchange rate stability. In addition, the regulatory and supervisory frameworks will be enhanced, whilst the bank's risk management systems are closely monitored to ensure stability and prevent undue stress from the macroeconomic environment and then exchange. Let me repeat and give assurance to the banks that we will be ready to support the industry with additional liquidity and capital support in the impending debt exchange exercise.
That was the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison. A government is shifting the burden of paying its debt to the private sector. This is the explanation an economist with the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Bokpin, has given for the domestic debt exchange program. President Akufo-Addo earlier assured investors and the private sector that there would be no haircut on their investment, contrary to earlier forecast by analysts. Professor Bokpin says government has finally come to the reality of the situation with the economy.
Government is now coming to the reality. We had said that where our debt level had reached, and we were in a deep distress category, and with that, fiscal adjustment alone will not be enough to meet an IMF condition for a facility, and that some level of debt restructuring is unavoidable. That will translate to realized investor losses, simply put, haircut. So the IMF is in town. Time is not on our side. So government needs to initiate some of these measures as quickly as possible, so we'll be able to have a program within the shortest possible time. So this, we are not surprised. If you look at how the market is behaving right now, you will see that the market had already anticipated some level of restructuring and haircuts. And that is why if you went for your money or so, there is some level of discounting that they will interpret to mean marking to market. Marking to market because the economic induced volatility in the market, the financial system cannot bear it, and therefore they will pass it on to investors. Because the reason is that the financial system is the ultimate residual risk claimant of public debt overhang. So how the government manages its public debt has implications for financial market stability, because that is a residual claimant of public debt overhang. If government can't pay its debt, they just neutralize it through the system. So what is happening right now is that government is shifting the burden of the debt from the state to the private sector and household.
So in terms of this announcement yesterday, what signal do you suppose it will send? Is it drastic enough to convince the fund, at least at the staff level, to agree to the deal?
What looks very possible now is staff level agreement. What looks very possible now is staff level agreement, right? Before it will go to the IMF executive board, government will have to demonstrate some level of discussion or commitment also with their investors, right? Because you see, the IMF also cares about its reputation. And that is why they want to come in and they demonstrate that they stepped in and the worst scenario, that this is the results they were able to achieve. Because the IMF reputation, some way, somehow, was tampered with under the 16th IMF program that we implemented from 2015 to 2019. Why are we saying so? Because when Ghana made that application, the call on April 6, 2014, we had judged our debt to be as a high risk of debt distress category. We exited that program without solving our debt sustainability issue. So Ghana exited the 16th IMF program, still being classified as a high risk of debt distress category. High risk is not the same as you are debt distress, you are high risk of it. But right now, and because we could not, that was a negative for the IMF. Now we are in a deep debt distress category. So, and that is why this time round, our engagement with IMF is entailing some form of debt restructuring, like the one that happened from August 2014. Because at that time, our debt was not unsustainable as we have it right now. So that was a bit faster to negotiate. But now, where we are, requires some level of debt restructuring in order to meet a condition for an IMF program. So you have to do that. These are things. Look, Bernard, the failure on the part of government to have realized this 2 years ago is what worries me.
That was an economist with the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Wokpin, in that interview with Bernard Avle earlier on the City Breakfast Show. My colleague Hansen Ajuman has joined us in studio to tell us more about this debt exchange program. Good afternoon to you, Hansen. Thanks for your time. Now, what is the debt exchange program and what does it entail?
So this debt exchange program specifically relates to domestic debt of Ghana. That is the bonds that were issued within the domestic financial space. And what government is doing basically, and according to the press conference that we had from the finance ministry today, is to make sure that for those persons who have bought or who have some domestic bonds, who have bought some of government's domestic bonds, they are exchanging those bonds now for new bonds. So 4 new bonds will be issued, and those who had pre-existing bonds with government, they will exchange those bonds for the new bonds, which will take place within 2020, which will be maturing in 2027, 2029, 2032, and 2037. So essentially, those who have bonds will be exchanging their old bonds with these new bonds. And then as part of it, the predetermined ratio for the sale of these, or for the sale of these bonds, will be 17% for the short bonds, 17% for intermediate bonds, 25% for the medium-term bond, and 41% for the long-term bond. Now, the interesting one here also is that the annual coupon, or the interest on these bonds annually from 2023, will be increased periodically. So in 2023, the interest on the bond will be 0%. In 2024, it will be 10%, and from 2025 going, the annual interest on it, or the annual coupon on the bond, will be 10% from 2025 going forward. And the government is telling us that this would not include treasury bills. This will not include treasury bills. So generally, this is what the government is seeking to do with the debt exchange. So those who have pre-existing bonds with the government domestically will have to exchange their debts for these new bonds, these new domestic bonds that will be issued by the government. The issue about the international bonds, the bonds that government have internationally, the finance minister is telling us that they will soon come out with guidelines on what to do with that. So we don't know what is happening with the international bonds as of now, but for the domestic bonds, this is what we are getting from the finance ministry.
Now, is this really compulsory for people who have bonds with the government?
Well, so the finance minister in his address noted that it is not only Ghana that has issued these debt exchange program. And in the last 10 years, he cited the case of Jamaica and Greece. Now, he indicated that Jamaica issued a bond, and this was done voluntarily. So the bond exchange was issued, and they asked individual or group bondholders with the Jamaican government bonds to voluntarily come and exchange their bonds for new bonds. He indicated that that got a high success of 99%. The contrast was Greece, which indicated that Greece then made a law compelling or forcing all persons who had domestic bonds to come to terms with the government and exchange their existing bonds with new bonds. He indicates that all these two were successful. But to be very clear, the government of Ghana's strategy is to make this through a consensus building process. So a part of the press engagement by the finance minister reads, we intend to avoid as much as possible the Greek approach as we strive to reach a consensual solution with our bondholders, which is the Ghanaian way. And we quite remember that before this announcement, the government had set up a committee to engage players within the financial space to come out with processes and ways that they can do the debt restructuring so that it would not necessarily affect players within the space. So from what we are getting from the finance ministry, they do not want to make it compulsory or coerce anybody to do so, but they want to believe that per their engagements and interactions, Ghanaians and players within the space will agree and voluntarily exchange, or on a consensus building approach, exchange their existing bonds for the new bonds that they are issuing.
Now, for somebody who is listening and does not know this, how did we get to this point?
Well, so we know that as part of processes of government to address the current economic challenges that we face, we went to the International Monetary Fund to seek support from the IMF. Now, as part of the engagement with IMF, a debt sustainability analysis was supposed to be done. Now, the understanding that we've gotten so far from the video that was released by the ministry yesterday and by the press engagement that we got today is that this debt sustainability analysis, to a large extent, has been concluded. Now, the debt sustainability analysis, as we have been told and we've come to learn, is that Ghana's public debt in itself is unsustainable, and that the debt servicing now of total government revenue is almost 70% of tax revenue. So if you are looking at the amount of money that we use to service our debt, we are using over 70% of our revenue to service our debt. Now, this is government debt excluding state-owned debt by state-owned enterprises. Now, the debt sustainability analysis has also revealed that if you now add the debt of state-owned enterprises to the central government debt, then now our debt exceeds 100% of our GDP. So even the revenue that we are making, if we're able to get all our revenue targets, our debt currently is beyond 100%. And as a result of this, the government felt that it was necessary to take steps and stringent efforts to ensure that at least the situation is addressed. And you remember recently when the president gave an address, he indicated that the aim was to make sure that the debt to GDP ratio is reduced to 55% by 2028. So this primarily has become necessary as a result of revelation by the debt sustainability analysis, which is essentially a prerequisite condition to be met in our engagement with the International Monetary Fund.
Grateful for your time. That was my colleague Hansen Achuman, who has been breaking down the newly launched debt exchange program by the government of Ghana in a bid to safeguard the country's ailing economy. Now, the minority has also been speaking about government debt exchange program. Our parliamentary correspondent Charles Owusu-Kume is in Parliament and will be joining us shortly. This is still the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM Stories. We've been bringing you government takes stringent steps to safeguard ailing economy in historical debt exchange program while assuring individual bond holders of not losing their principal. Hansen, what more do you have to add?
Well, so the government is essentially also pledging or asking for the support of all Ghanaians, and is assuring that within the financial sector space and with financial institutions who are involved in this exchange, efforts are being put in place to make sure that they're able to meet to the demands or their obligations to their clients. So the government is saying that the Financial Stability Fund, which was created, will help these banks to be able to meet their obligations of their clients as they go according to this debt exchange program. And in the shortest possible time, we should be expecting the governor of the Bank of Ghana to come out with details necessary to ensure that these banks are able to meet their obligations to their clients.
The minister also spoke about the reportage from the media to stop creating this unnecessary tension, which eventually he thinks may lead to investors not being confident in our economy. Can you tell us more about that?
So the minister is basically indicating that for this to be possible, then the public need to be or ought to be whipped in line, and it ought to be accepted. And initially we indicated that the government is saying that it wants to do this through a consensus approach. Now, you cannot build consensus when a lot of people have a different understanding of the issue. So if you look at the part where the finance minister touches on the fact that treasury bills will not be announced, treasury bills will not be affected, he seemed to be very emphatic and to repeat himself continuously, so that at least he's hoping that the government and various stakeholders will be on one page and be able to go according to the dictates of this debt exchange. And that's why his appeal to the media is for the media to report on what exactly the facts are. And you, even if you look at previous government communications, you get the sense that government hopes to take out any form of speculations when it comes to things like this, and only want the actual facts to be stated. And this is all in line to get people involved. And remember when the president gave that address, he was concerned as to how, when people initially made a point about the debt restructuring, how it affected the whole financial space and how it impacted or influenced the poor economic fundamentals that we witnessed around that particular time, reason that call to the media.
Very well, grateful for your time. That was my colleague Hansen Ajman. Let's now head to Parliament, where the minority group has rejected government debt exchange program intended to restructure the country's debt into a more sustainable liability. Our parliamentary correspondent Charles Owusu-Kume is at that presser and joins us live on telephone. Good afternoon to you, Charles. Thanks for your time. What exactly is the position of the minority on the government's debt exchange program?
So the minority says that yes, just as the finance minister made a point, Ghana's debt, which is currently sitting at around 500 billion Ghana cedis, 105% of GDP is unsustainable. And so a debt restructure of some form has to be undertaken. What they are against for them is the structure of this debt exchange program that government is embarking on. They say that if you are having interest to bonds that you have already sold to people, it is going to send the wrong signals to investors, and government is breaking contracts to these investors. And that means that we are going to lose investments from foreign investments, including local ones as well. Government says that there will be zero coupons from next year, which means that if you bought bonds from government from next year, 2023, you're not getting any interest payment. Now, they've also said that some of the things that has been said in the budget, which is the e-levy, the VAT 2.5% VAT, are things that they also reject, which includes the debt restructuring. So for them, they're asking government to cut down on some of its expenditure. They say that government is hoping to earn about 2.5 billion from VAT. They say they can use some of these expenditure cuts and earn this amount, receive this amount of money without necessarily imposing new taxes on government. So these are some of the things that the minority has been saying at the press conference this morning.
Grateful for your time. That was my colleague at Parliament, Charles Owusukumi. Let's take a listen to exactly what the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, has been saying.
This morning announced, to paraphrase him, a major policy blueprint on government debt restructuring or debt exchange program. He has promised to announce him for our external debt restructuring. And to paraphrase him again, they are doing so to put our unsustainable debt on the right path. You recall that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, on his famous or infamous address to the nation on that Sunday, he was categorical and emphatic that there would be no haircut. At least now we know that there is. Let me state without any fear of contradiction that the form and structure of the debt restructuring plan announced by Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is unacceptable to us, and we simply will not accept it. I shudder to ask, how come that the contours, I'm quoting him, of this debt exchange program was not announced in the budget statement that was presented to Parliament? Were investors consulted? Bondholders, were they consulted? How did he come to this conclusion? They are negotiating with the IMF for an inevitable IMF program. This is consistent with the Constitution, and we raise the questions. The terms and conditions of an IMF program support constitute a loan and finance agreement under the Constitution within the meaning of Article 1815 of the 1992 Constitution. As implied, any other debt restructuring exercise constitutes a variation of the terms and conditions of past loans authorized by Parliament. So if we authorize you to go and borrow, those of you who have read Article 181, the onus and mandate of Parliament is to approve of, and I emphasize, the terms and conditions of the loan. Does it lie within the Minister for Finance, without prior approval of Parliament, to make any changes to these terms and conditions? We will hold him responsible for any breach of any law and the Constitution of Ghana, and in particular Article 181 and 5 of the 1992 Constitution.
That was the minority leader in Parliament, Haruna Idrisu. This is still the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. Still to come, we'll take you to the Ashanti region where police officers have been deployed to various SIM card registration centers to avert possible chaos after hundreds of customers had their SIM cards blocked. We'll tell you more shortly. Please stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Afiwe, Black Stars fans say at MDD. Team selection. Na coaching Jumanin swear. Hey, now Black Stars beat Mary BB. Saka Sanonso. No negative talk. Positive talking. Mama yan come Qatar 2022 way. The entire Black Stars achieve. DSTV the 64 matches need now the bro with DSTV compact so for 169 Ghana Cedis Beji decoder and the year. Ghana, it's our moment.
Now Jordan, are you correct?
Hey, Masa. Yejai.
Fine, anyone can become a house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, anyone. Whether market woman, student, professional, even fisherman or cobbler. YouGoFlip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand the chance of winning a house, cash, or other prizes, such as savings towards the house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yougoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win. Contact us on 0555222490. YouGoFlip. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Now, police officers have been deployed to some mobile network registration centers in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, to avert possible chaos after hundreds of customers whose SIM cards have been blocked thronged the centers for redress. There is growing frustration among affected customers at the various centers who they say cannot access major services on their mobile phones, such as calls, data, and mobile money transactions after their SIM cards were deactivated. The customers claim despite going through the re-registration successfully, they've had their SIM card deactivated. Some of the affected customers who spoke to Citi News called on the National Communications Authority to work on resolving the challenges.
When was your SIM card blocked?
It was blocked on Saturday afternoon. Let's say in the hours of, I realized I couldn't make calls from the hours of, 1 thereabout. I couldn't access, to even to check my call balance, I couldn't check it. So it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. I was labeled as a thief when I wanted to make a transaction. They were telling me I'm a fraudster because I couldn't access my own account.
The NCA has brought out a statement and mentioned that they will deactivate all SIM after 30th of November.
Honestly, I saw a message like that. That is why I came for them to re-register the SIM card for me. But when I came, they did it. I went back and it was they still deactivated my SIM card. Why?
I have been here since morning and I still can't receive any message. I am a mobile money agent with 4 SIM cards. I can't access my 50,000 Ghana cedis in all my mobile money accounts. I demanded clarification and I was told there are network challenges. This is my 5th time here. The money I spend on transport is just too much.
The same thing.
Those were some affected customers whose SIM cards have been blocked in the Ashanti region. My colleague in the Ashanti region, Hafiz Tijani, joins us live on telephone. Hafiz, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. Now, how intense is the situation and what numbers are we talking about?
Well, for many, the issue is not just about they not able to make or receive phone calls and also access their data, but the most important is how they are able to transact their businesses using the mobile money platform. And they say a number of them have been complaining about that because they use their phones to do transactions. Some also are mobile money vendors and merchants who use their SIM cards to transact those businesses. So they are worried about their inability to be able to withdraw cash or even send cash using their mobile money network or platform. So you're talking about the numbers. You go to a center, you find more than 100 people there, some coming as early as 1 a.m. We spoke to some of them. Some also coming as early as 3 a.m. to join queues, but they have not been able to be attended to. we understand that this morning the system was down and the registration centers, those in charge of the registration, were able to do the registration or rectify the challenges for these people. So you find a lot of people also talking about they doing or going through the registration, the re-registration processes successfully, but still they are not able to access some services like using their mobile phones to make calls or even receive calls and also transact businesses or do some transaction on their mobile money platforms. So that is the concern you get. And these are scattered around most of the registration centers, both at the offices of the telcos and other registration centers that have been set up in some communities.
How are the police dealing with this? We understand they have been deployed to these SIM card re-registration centers.
Well, in the morning, there was a near chaos at some of the centers. So the officers at these centers had to invite the police, calling the police to be able to maintain order at these places. So when the police came, they were able to prevent people who were venting their frustration on the officials at the registration centers. They were able to calm them and move them back so that they can get orderliness the registration center. So the police intervention was just to maintain and calm at these registration centers, because in the morning when a lot of people had to these.
Hello, Hafiz.
Transact or do any transaction.
Hello, Hafiz.
Hello?
Hafiz, can you hear me? We do not. Unfortunately, the line is not a bit favorable now. That was my colleague in the Ashanti region, Hafiz Tijani, telling us more about the numbers that have thrown the mobile. Some mobile network registration centers. Now, these people have had their SIM cards blocked by their various telcos. My colleague here in the sitting newsroom, Anne Sheliziwu, has been monitoring the situation here in Accra and joins us in studio. Good afternoon to you, Anne. What was the situation from the places you visited?
Okay. Good afternoon, Hawa. I went to Dansoman because I felt more people there would have challenges. And truly, when we got there, we visited the Vodafone registration center. We saw a lot of people there who came to re-register their SIM cards. Some of them say they've already registered. In fact, they've done all the 2 phases, but still their services were blocked. So they came there to register. When they came there, they are saying that there's no collaboration, there's no system or process that is taking place there. You come there and by the time you get to the point of registering, they tell you that you need a code, and now you have to go and start a whole new queue. So that it was very frustrating for some of them. Some of them were also saying that their Ghana cards were not able to sync with the SIM registration, so they had to go back to the NIA office. The NIA would direct them back to the telcos, and that was very frustrating. Then when you move to the MTN centers, that's where you get the huge numbers. A lot of people were there and they were agitated. Most of them were saying that their mobile money services is down. Even though they can receive money, they can't cash out. So they were asking that if my service has been blocked or if my SIM has been blocked, why do I receive cash and I can't take it back? A lot of them were there. When we spoke, we had some officials from MTN there. They refused to be recorded, but when they spoke to me on the side, they did mention that the mobile money system is working across board. It's working. So, however, if your SIM is blocked and you get the money, it will come. But because your SIM is blocked and because you would have to input your code and all those things before you withdraw, you won't be able to have that services. And they said that their system, the re-registration platform network, is is shut down across the country and they don't know when it will come back. However, they would make an announcement on the media, that the TV and radio, to let the people know when it's back so that they can come back to the office to do their registration.
So what options are left for these people who have been left stranded at the various centers?
They said they should go home, and they've not given them a definite date to come back. So some of them are saying their school fees are on it, their feeding fee, everything they have, it's on the phone. They can't make calls, they can't do anything. And so they are very, very frustrated because that's what they are using for their daily lives. They don't know what to do. And it's frustrating more because they are not giving them a timeline when the network will be open so they can come and register. Some of them said they've even done all the registrations, the two, and still they've been blocked.
Grateful for your time. That was my colleague in the Citi newsroom, Anne Shelizu, who monitored the situation here in Accra. Hafiz Tijani is back on the line. Hafiz, now briefly, has the situation been rectified, or there are still huge numbers at the various centers? Hello, Hafiz.
Hello, Hawa.
Yes, I'm asking, has the situation been rectified, or there are still huge numbers at the various centers?
Well, the understanding we got was that the system is not so stable. So if the system is bad and they are able to attend to a few people who have come there, the system goes off again. So that problem is making people very stranded at the various centers. But a number of them continue to visit these centers and the numbers are swelling.
Many thanks for your time. Hafiz Tijani is our Ashanti regional correspondent, bringing us up to speed on the number of people who have thronged the various mobile network registration centers. Now, these are people who have had their SIM cards blocked after the November 30 deadline. Caleb Kuda finally comes in. Caleb, what more do you have?
Now, the teacher trainees at the St. Francis College of Education, Hohoi, say they will boycott their end of semester exams scheduled for this week due to the ongoing strike by their lecturers. According to the trainees, lack of contact hours due to the strike has rendered them emotionally unprepared to sit for any exam. Lecturers at various colleges of education across the country have been on strike for the past 3 weeks over some allowances due them. Speaking to Citi News, the level 200 and 300 trainees on campus called on the examination board at the University of Cape Coast to postpone the exams until next year.
We are not fully prepared. We will not finish the course outline, and moreover, lecturers who are supposed to compile our CAs for us, because our CAs are part of our exam results, so they are not yet compiled. So we know even if you write, because lecturers are saying that if we write, they are also not in the position to produce the Cs, and even they will not mark the script. So we writing and UCC keeping the script is the same as we waiting for the lecturers to come back before we write. So if all of us refuse to go, we know very well that it will not affect us in any way. The best UCC has to do is to create structure and organize the exam for us to come back and write.
We are emotionally not stable for this exam. They really have to give us time, I think next year, before we can sit up. If our lecturers are back, their needs need to be met and their grievances need to be addressed before we can carry on with any examinational activity or anything.
Other universities, UDS, Winneba have suspended their examination because of what is happening. And it's only UCC that is forcing us to write these exams. We think this is against our fairness and we are not ready for these exams until our lectures are back in the classroom.
The trainees further raised concerns over inadequate meals served them in school.
At first, we used to take 3 square meals a day, but currently we have been communicated that we are now going to eat twice a day, which is going to affect us a lot because we are not cooking on our own. We only rely on the dining hall, and because of that, our parents don't normally prepare for us. We come like that without preparing any banquet or anything for us. So you realize that the kind of food that we take from the dining hall is now even reduced. Now you go to the dining hall, you can only get one ladder of wache, and you cannot rely on that one ladder of wache for almost 3 to 4 hours before getting another meal. So we want the government to come and address the situation for us.
And first, we've been taking food with fish and other stuff, but currently, because of the economic crisis and then other stuff, they said the feeding grant is not enough to cater for all those meals again. So some of the things have been scrapped off in the menu.
Those were some teacher trainees from the St. Francis College of Education on the state of affairs as far as feeding and exams are concerned. Meanwhile, information reaching City News indicates that the Teacher Trainee Association of Ghana and the University of Cape Coast have reached a resolution for the level 200 students to write the pending end of semester exams on Thursday, December 8, 2022, while the level 300 also sit their quizzes before the Christmas break.
Now, education think tank Africa Education Watch says students who smuggle mobile phones into examination centers should be banned from writing examination for up to 3 years. Now, the executive director of the education think tank, now the call follows the cancellation of the results of over 500,000 students who sneaked mobile phones into the examination hall. The result of 117 candidates have also been withheld pending the conclusion of investigations into alleged cases of impersonation detected during the examination. Speaking to Citi News, the executive director for Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asari, said stiffer measures should be rolled out.
Students caught with mobile phones should actually should actually not just have their mobile phones, seized and results cancelled, but they must be given bans. If you are found with a mobile phone in an examination hall, you should be banned for at least 3 years from writing any WAEC examination. This is because the mobile phone is at the epicenter of examination fraud in Ghana. And so we want to see much more stiffer punishment being meted out to students.
Kofi Asare is the executive director for education think tank Africa Education Watch. This is still the Citi Prime News on 97.3 Citi FM. My name is Hawa Idrisu here with Kielep Kuda. Still to come, youth of Polarido, a deprived community in the Tatale Sangoli district of the northern region, demand educational infrastructure to enable the next generation of indigents become literate. Details of that coming up shortly. Please don't go away.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Get a chance to win a new car or 1 out of 40 new smartphones. Take part in the contest for Yango partner drivers. Call to join 059-699-3550. Prizes are not guaranteed. Contest regulations at yango.com/gh/driver_contest_2022/new. Yango's informational service. Transportation services are provided by Yango partners.
The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, in collaboration with the Lands Commission, the Department of Land Economy KNUST, and Colanda Land and Property Rights, presents the National Land Conference Ghana 2022. Theme: Leveraging National Land Policy, Legislation and Institutional Capacity towards Sustainable Socio-Economic Development. Date: Tuesday 6th December to Friday 9th December 2022. Time: 1:30 p.m. on Tuesday 6th December and 8:30 a.m. on subsequent days. Venue: the Accra International Conference Center. The President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, will officially open the conference on Wednesday, 7th December at 10 a.m. prompt. For more information, please visit www.lc.gov.gh. This conference is sponsored by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Lands Commission, GIZ, Solidaridad, Oxfam, Landesa, Trust Africa, Bentu Oil Palm Plantation, the Ghana Landscape Restoration Project of the World Bank, and others.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Yeah, welcome back. Now, a robust educational system is no doubt essential for the development of the manpower of every society. However, many rural communities continue to record high illiteracy rates due to numerous obstacles that impede the quality of education. Polarido in the Tatale Sangoli district of the northern region is a deprived community that want processes to be put in place to break the cycle of illiteracy, as majority of the people missed the opportunity to be educated. The youth of Polarido are now demanding for an educational infrastructure to enable the next generation to become literate. Our Northern Regional Correspondent, Dinah Ingwan, has more.
This is the structure accommodating more than 200 pupils of Polarido community, determined to break the visual cycle of illiteracy and poverty. The community initiated this project in 2015. The Ghana Education Service adopted the school, but government is yet to build a befitting school structure to support the community's determination. A befitting school block is just one of many challenges facing members of this community in their quest to access formal education. 25-year-old senior high school graduate and a native of the community, Ebenezer recounts the challenges he faced growing up in this community.
I sat like this before because I can remember that I combined with primary 4 and primary 5. I wasn't comfortable because the way we were combined, I wasn't comfortable. I wish that one time, I should stand here and see this building very nice, more than the way it is now. Because here like this, the dust is too much. Mostly the dry season like this, when the wind blows, children here cannot sit. Outside here, everything will be entering. Leaves here will be falling inside. So I'm not comfortable about that.
According to a 2022 report released by the United Nations Research Institute for Social Development on Crisis of Inequality, intersectionality plays an important role for educational outcomes, as there are significant gaps in education quality and access between class and regional lines. The report reflects the state of pupils of Polarido Primary School, who face massive disparity in quality of education as a result of poverty.
We don't have school bags, and we don't have the people who cook for us here, and teachers don't have chairs. Also, I don't have nice school because of rain will come in. You can run to home. If the teacher teaches, you can leave here and go to house and sit it. If you can come and build then school. If you go to toilet, you want to see the snake and your scorpions. It's not nice.
Aside dealing with the issues of poor infrastructure, furniture, and the lack of basic social amenities, teachers who accepted posting to this community have to perch with some benevolent families in the community.
What we do is, when we came, we realized that there was no any quarters for the teachers. What we can only do is to have a landlord so that we'll be staying with them. And we have been staying, but we can say that things are not easy for us in staying with them. Sometimes you may want something which you can request because you are staying with them. It is a problem for us.
The Parents-Teacher Association is worried about the state of affairs in the school and appealed to government to address these challenges urgently. The Tantali Sanguli district has about 50 basic schools. Majority of these schools face challenges that are very similar to Polarido's situation. Here is the examination coordinator for Tantali Sanguli district, Peter Amana, speaking on the challenges confronting education in the district.
At our level as the directorate, we are doing all well to see to it that we monitor the schools. So we sometimes write reports, we look at the asks for data on the number of schools that are in the deplorable state and the schools that are in various stages. So we report to the assembly. I think they have data over all those issues. And our district too, well, the resources are the problem.
The United Nations Research Institute for Social Development flagship report suggests the need for a fundamental overhaul of all states to achieve sustainable development for all, of which education is key. The report further calls for a rethink of current policies and institutions needed to overcome urgent development challenges. This could result in a new eco-social contract for a more equal, just, and sustainable world.
Pupils here in Kwalerigu Basic School are calling on authorities and well-meaning Ghanaians to come to their aid by providing infrastructure, water, and other basic amenities they will need in school to facilitate teaching and learning. From Kwalerigu in the Tatali district, I am Dina Ngwan, reporting for Citi News.
And here in the studios, my name is Hawa Idrisu, here with Caleb Kuda. Now it's day 16 of the ongoing 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. City Sports Evans Ofuchumas Manso Pichichi joins us in studio for an update on what is expected to happen today. Now, before we get to today, yesterday, what happened to the Senegalese team?
Well, they just
the Teranga Lions.
Exactly.
They lost to the 3 Lions.
They just couldn't roll for Africa, and it's quite a disappointing performance from the African champions. I know you were disappointed yourself watching the Senegalese team.
Second goal, like, no, this can't happen.
Exactly.
Just before the break.
There was no fight at all. It was a simple win for England.
This Senegalese team and then the England team, I'm sure the Black Stars could have done better.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I trust the
Black Stars.
Oh, look, I'm putting the 3 Lions.
Well, we're struggling against Portugal and Uruguay. We had our own problems.
But Portugal is different from...
but on a normal day, Senegal...
But I was not trusting them to meet Brazil. That one, I was not looking forward to it. Because the goals... but what's expected to happen today?
Well, so the last 16 of the World Cup continues. At 3 p.m, there's Japan versus Croatia. And this is the third World Cup meeting between the two sides. Croatia won 1-0 in 1998. And they drew goalless in 2006, which is both in the group stages of the competition. And later at 7 p.m. also, there's Brazil against South Korea. Brazil are without Gabriel Jesus.
So this was going to be our team today.
Exactly. If we had qualified for the group, we would have faced the Brazilians. There's South Korea progressing.
And Neymar is playing.
Exactly. Neymar is back for the Brazilians. He missed the last 2 games. And for the Brazil, this is their 8th meeting with South Korea, but their first ever competitive encounter. And Brazil, whenever they get to this competition, at this stage, they've won 6 of their previous 7 encounters. So they hardly get eliminated at this stage. And they are huge favourites to progress over South Korea. But for the Koreans, they'll be buoyed by the fact that they beat Portugal in their last game by 2-1. So it's a huge game. At 2 p.m, we are back with the World Cup Daily in-depth analysis of all these games here on Citi FM.
Grateful for your time. We would meet you at exactly 2 p.m. on 97.3 Citi FM for the World Cup update. And that's how we end today's edition of the Citi Prime News, which has been live from our studios in Adabraka, Accra. For more news, please log on to citinewsroom.com. My name is Hawa Idrisu, and I was here with...
I'm Caleb Kuda.
Michael Loboju is up next with the afternoon's edition of Citi Business News. Many thanks for your company, and do have a great afternoon.
Citi 97.3. More variety.
The city is alive on 97.3.
Citi 97.3. Accra. Get the details. Every significant.
What do you get when you mix the best DJs in the country, the most amazing live band sets, delicious cocktails, and wonderful food? Back-to-back hit music from Ghana's finest group, Prior, and being serenaded by the brilliantly talented Aquabua. The biggest outdoor party, of course. Situation 2022. Are you ready to party? We are changing the situation on December 24, 2022 with the biggest outdoor party in Accra. The Situation Outdoor Party 2022. Let's wrap up the year in style with the most epic party to end all parties this Christmas Eve with Situation. Make your Christmas Eve come alive with the most incredible DJs who will keep you dancing all night long. Amazing live band sets and the crooner Aquabua. It is the perfect ingredient for the best party this festive season. Ain't no party like a city party, because a city party don't stop. This will be another one to remember. Date Saturday 24th December 2022. Venue La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, Accra. Time 8 p.m. Dress code, it's an all-white affair. For table booking, call 020-5973-973 or 055-8973-973. Book your table and make reservations now. Media partners, Ghana Weekend and Citi FM. This is powered by Citi TV. This is a Beyond the Return event.